Hello, hello everyone. Hi. Thank you for waiting. I'm just in the process of very carefully scooching my microphone because I don't want to blow out any earphone users' ears. We're just between tracks at the minute, so after the kind of fade in, you let me know what the volume is like for you guys, because sometimes I'll turn down the music volume so that it works for me, but I do have like an audio mixer in OBS, so I can then turn it up for you guys if the balancing's a little off. Sorry if my mic's a little on the quiet side. It's I can happily turn the music down. It's just purely because I adjust what's the word I'm looking for? I adjust the sensitivity so that it doesn't pick up all of like my computer fan noises, and like every time my heart beats and stuff like that, because it can be quite a sensitive device. It's actually quite impressive how how sensitive the mic is if you crank up the sensitivity. So yeah, we're just gonna rock. I'm actually gonna kind of let people filter in a little, but then there's two. Audio is lush at the minute. Thank you, Rob. I'm glad to hear it. So there's two things we're kind of working on. One is, I don't think he's in the chat and I don't think he's online, but Fantasy Forge did a phenomenal stream yesterday, and I jokingly said to him, you don't need AI art, I'm going to draw a hot version of your villain. If you haven't checked out his stream yet, in which he very expertly DM'd, then please do go to his channel. He basically, it's kind of insane. He randomized volunteers from the chat, and we took it in turns to control some adventurers, and we rescued a kitten, Displacer Beast, Tobias, and this was the bad guy, and I jokingly said I'm going to draw a hot version of him. And I have been tidying up, this is the sketch, I've been kind of tidying that up. This nice pretty lock of hair will be back. I'm just, tweaking things at the minute. And yeah, so the options we kind of have are maybe working on this a little bit more, a bit of a gift for him because I really loved his stream. I thought it was so good. Or I'm also working on my next D&D character, which is really exciting. I might actually be playing it in 2 campaigns, which is such a rarity for me. So we could also be finishing up the body on this guy and then like designing some outfits for him. So those are kind of our 2 options at the minute. He's like a teenage Asimar monk is the plan. I play like a really fancy, prissy, like the face of, or one of the faces of my party in my in the other campaign I'm in. I'm a College of Eloquence bard, the one that I did the video for, Zephyr. But I was like, I want to do the complete opposite. I want to play a little shit. So this is like a very low charisma teenage street rat kind of vibe kid who's a monk. So those are kind of our 2 options. We can work a little bit on my D&D character, or we can, I think I'll probably start with just kind of working on this guy because I'm having a lot of fun doing his face. And then we can always, our backup plan will be my kind of new character, if that works for everyone. If everyone feels good about that, I am just scooching the mic very delicately, beware. There we go. Just so I can reach the keyboard a little better. But if anyone vehemently doesn't like that plan, I'm all ears, I do not mind. You can see I've just been kind of fixing a few things up, but also making everything a bit crisper. I am going to add the hair back in, but I realised to my own detriment that I'd kind of put it on the same layer as the eyes, and I wanted to redo the eyes, so I've now got like a hair layer for all of my new hair additions. I really love adding like strands of hair. It's just so satisfying. Anyone else agree? And yeah, once again, I cannot take credit for this. This is the Obsidian King, who is the creation of the Fantasy Forge, so all credit to him. I do realise, however, I kind of added this weird thing here, so we're just gonna fill in the gaps a little. But in the meantime, while I just kind of tidy this up a little bit, how is everyone doing? How are we feeling today? Hopefully everyone's having a good one. Rob says, I feel like I need to check out Fantasy Forge's stream now. Yeah, it's he posted the, you know, auto uploads the lives, but we had a lot of fun. I got to have a go a few times. It actually became a bit silly. The randomizer kept picking me to the point where it looked maybe a little rigged. But yeah, we were all having a great time. I'm pretty certain some of the people in this stream might well have also been there. So you can see here, I kind of did like this weird cutout thing because initially his backing coloring wasn't solid, which is entirely my fault. So the method in the madness of what I'm doing right now is trying to cover that gap up enough that when I start like cutting bits out, it's not obvious. Yeah, kind of like that. So you can see here there's some sections that could maybe do with a little bit of tidying. Yeah, and then maybe get like a softened thing going. You know what, screw it, we'll just blur it, because I can always, you know, I'm redoing everything a little. We can just kind of redo that. Tighten things up a little later. Like add like a more intense white behind him and stuff like that. There we go. Right. Enough playing around. Let's get to the fun bit. There we go. So for context, this is the sketch I sent to, hi Tironi, hi, come on in. This is the thing I sent mid-stream last night where I was very tired, and then this is the one that I'm currently in the process of tidying up. It is going to look worse before it looks better, because I had to do things like clean up sections, and then I'm like going to work details back in, is kind of the method in the madness at the minute. So if it looks like, ooh, it used to look a little better in these sections, or some sections don't quite work, that's probably why. It's because I've just taken them out so I can do them better. That's the plan anyway. As long as I don't do them worse. That's the different isn't the same as worse, and I need to keep reminding myself of that. I have a really bad habit of like looking at, I don't know, like a sketch layer I've done, and the line art looks good, but it doesn't look exactly like the sketch layer, and it probably never will. And yeah, I'm trying to really drill that into my head at the minute, that different is not the same as worse. Whether or not I adhere to that, we will have to find out. We are, however, gonna just kind of get some areas filled in. I've stuck this layer underneath the current color layer, so any areas that just inverting the color so I can see what I'm doing a little better. So you see here, I'm just kind of filling in some gaps. It was very sketchy when I did this, gosh. Yeah, look at all of that. Okay then. Wow, yeah, look at those gaps. Let's fill those in. Cool stuff. Okay, so let's invert that color again. Cute. Beautiful. You can see I've not like quite tidied up the hair at the back and stuff yet. I was really struggling with that for some reason. It wasn't quite hairing the way that I wanted it to. Sorry, let me just read the chat. Ah, watching a stream from the start. Amazing. Good to have you. Someone says, oh, Frog says, Mwahaha. Hi, Frog. This is the perfect background to get some coding done. Perfect. Happy to, as someone who is friends with a lot of coders, front and back end developers, absolutely mad respect. Wanted to ask for any good iPads for drawing. I have only ever drawn on friends' iPads, so my honest answer is I'm probably not, unfortunately, the best person to ask. Having a drink. Stay hydrated, kids. Hi, Dynamo. Hi, how's it going? Good to see you. So once again, for context for anyone who's just come in, the incredibly kind and talented Fantasy Forge hosted an amazing stream last night that I tuned in for and took part in, kind of a group D&D where the people controlling the characters were, it was insane, like randomly rolled, so you know, lots of audience participation. For a lot of us, we were not running on like our most strategic gears because it was quite late, so it was very funny. And this is the villain from it, and I jokingly was like, I'm gonna draw him hot, and then while listening to his stream, and then kind of bursting in awkwardly when my name was called, I started drawing him hot, and then I sent him a drawing of the villain, the Obsidian King, hot. So I don't think he's gonna watch the stream. I don't think he's online at the minute. I'm just gonna check Discord. But I thought he's seen the sketch version of this, and I thought it'd be kind of sweet to do some fan art for him. So I was like, this is the original sketch. And now I'm tidying it up. There will be this dramatic lighting that will come back. But I need to tidy things up first. This, once again, the hair, you can see I'm going to build it back up. I'm just kind of hacking away at bits I don't like, tidying things, working detail back in, but in a more kind of structured way. And then if I get a little tired of this, or if I get a bit of art block, just to keep the stream going, I also have my new D&D character, this Asimar kid, who I'm very excited to play. And you can see the kind of outfit inspos that I've got going, lots of nice pattern fabric. So if we need a change of pace from the Obsidian King, we have options. That's what I'm saying, is we have options. Okay, let's have a separate hair layer this time, because I'm gonna add like all of these like locks back in. But I was trying to redo his eye, and I realized that the hair and the thing were on the same layer, which really rustled the eye and the hair were on the same layer, which really rustled my jimmies because it meant I had to erase the hair. Done a new layer, and then I can always merge this down, but I'm trying to also more follow the actual shape of the hair. The more I'm drawing this, the more I'm realizing this looks a lot like... there's a really good webcomic that I'd recommend to all of you guys called Jack Beloved. It's free to read. It's so good. I can't believe I only just, well, I say discovered it. I know other people have, but for me, discovered it. And there is a character in that called Wick. And I don't think this looks exactly like Wick, but they definitely are sharing some DNA here. I think I might have been slightly influenced by that in drawing this. I'm trying to have this lock of hair not cover the pupil. I want you to be able to see both pupils, so I'm trying to, yeah, something like that. I think I might change my pressure brush just for a bit because it's too light. I need it to go in quite solid. Something like that. There we go. Now we're cooking with fire. Yeah, if you guys haven't checked out Jack Beloved, I would heartily recommend it. I think it's very good. It's nice to see really good, like, there's really good trans representation, bisexual representation, all of that. It's not the crux of the story. It's a very good high fantasy look at stuff like war. But yeah, would really heartily recommend it. I really enjoy it so far. I think it is just called like jackbeloved.com or something like that. You can kind of see here, I'm just firming up some of the shapes a little. I'm still not, there's something about the back of, I'm flipping the canvas here, this back of the head that just isn't, something about it doesn't look right, and I don't know what it is. It looked even less right on the original, but there's something about it. I'm trying to work out what it is, so I'm just going to kind of scribble here until I get a shape that maybe works a little better. No, it's not to do with this bit. I think this bit's fine. Maybe lower? Maybe lower. The judges are saying maybe. When I say the judges, I mean me. Yeah, can't wait to hear what you guys are up to, if any of you guys are kind of playing D&D recently, or been up to anything, any writing or creative stuff. Always love to hear about it. This is why you do stuff on separate layers. Maybe this feels better, I'm not sure. It's all about the silhouette, right? So it's not about the individual parts, it's also about like how they come together. I am wondering if maybe it's just that I made the hair too floofy, like it looks better a little closer to the skull. Someone has D&D tonight, Twisted Venom, hell yeah. Are you playing or are you DMing? Yeah, I think we're actually gonna go with making the hair less. It's just double checking that this hair isn't, there we go. So we're taking this away for now just so we can adjust the shape a little. But yeah, it's nice playing, awesome. Tell you what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take this away. There you go. You see, I'm just kind of I'm playing around. I'm not, this is gonna be quite a sketchy one, so I'm not putting too much pressure on myself. Leo is drawing alongside me. Hell yeah. Love to hear it. I'm just... It's such a small thing, but I think working out this hair shape will really help because, like, I don't know, these things are, like, a really important part of a character's design. Silhouette is so important. I think nailing that down, especially around the head, I always put extra detail in the head because, well, the head is where people look. It's, you know, I think humans are kind of built that way. Right, so I've deleted those sections. Let's also delete those sections of the hair thing and this. Okay, I think that might now do it. Oh yeah, and then we need to delete, we need to erase the hair color. What did I do there? How'd I mess that up? Oh no, guys, I borfed it. I borfed it. Let's unborf it. There we go. Okay, that's feeling good. That's feeling good. I like that. And we still got the hair on a separate layer, which is, well, the hair strands, because I want to be able to work on this guy's face a little more. Okay, so it's quite messy, the paint job I did here. So I think what I might actually do is, I've been really getting into like very blocky stylized stuff recently, doing studies that way just to help me understand the planes of the face. So I'm gonna kind of... It's weird. Paradoxically, I'm gonna kind of tidy some of these sections up so that we can work them back in. If that kind of makes sense. So we're gonna kind of tidy it up here. And then, I'm gonna add a new layer. And we're gonna really lay this stuff out. And what we might even do after is, paint directly on top of the line art and really kind of tighten everything up a little bit, but we'll probably want some guidelines for that, you know? See what I mean? Just kind of laying these out. Add some kind of edgy dark circles under the eyes, maybe like some of the classic like tears thing if we're going for like a kind of the classic look for the kind of bad boy type. And also I think it makes him look a little buggier, you know, we're trying to make him very now that I'm drawing more of him, I'm realizing he's just Carnus. He's just Carnus from Baldur's Gate 3. Oh no, I've put the pieces together. Oh no. He's straight up just Carnus. Except Carnus is a spider person. And the Obsidian King is a centipede. Oh no, I just realised I'm drawing Carnus. There we go, chat. Thoughts? Anyone who's played Baldur's Gate 3, thoughts on Carnus? Oh, why is it? Occasionally it's been, yeah, it's been making the sounds, the noises. Clothing and Dispose are gorgeous. Oh, thank you. I'm assuming that's for the other potential character we were looking at today. For anyone who got in a little late, the other potential one was drawing my new D&D character. But I was drawn, for now, to the Obsidian King. He's definitely feeling a little shapier than yesterday. This feels better, like good shapes. There's good shapes going on here. Maybe not all 100% realistic, but that's fine. They don't need to be. I think, however, I am gonna tidy up this section next. Once again, the benefit of having these hair strands on a separate layer. I try not to have too many layers, but certainly having a few if you know you're going to be reworking over a piece a bunch is good, is important. So yeah, it keeps occasionally when I like open another thing, making that bling sound, and I don't know what's triggering that, if I'm being 100% honest. So what I'm just doing here is, I kind of shaded in this shadow I drew in under his neck, and I'm just undoing that so that I can kind of work it in as a flat colour. You see what I mean? And maybe also I'll reduce the opacity on that line a little just to indicate it's more of a shadow. Hit him with the Ulquiorra eyeliner. I am not... Oh! This guy, I have seen, he's from Bleach. I'll be honest, I've never watched Bleach. Yes, kind of like that. Paula had the lantern, so I need to, you don't need to kill, Karnas for, I mean, you end up fighting him later regardless, but you don't actually need to fight him for, the Moon Lantern, spoiler alert. If you do just, like, let him lead you back to Moonrise Towers, there's another one you can steal. It's very, Alex Simpkins says, it's very ironic seeing these pretty D&D characters being drawn as I kit bash horrendous mutants for Turn Up 28. Brilliant. That's so good. Yeah, just drawing some pretty people. Right, yeah. Let's tidy, what we need to do is tidy up some of this line art, and I think then I won't be coming out as much, you know, flicking between these and kind of taking myself out of where I'm at flow-wise. So the anatomy on the top bit I got pretty spot on. I found a really good reference, someone who'd done something very similar, and because he's got all of this draping hair, I can kind of disguise the line of it somewhat. You see kind of what I mean. You know, I'm just tidying things up a little. We're still keeping it pretty sketchy, but okay, and I think this is another one for the hair layer. think once again though, we're going to do it on the non, so I've got one that's like pressure sensitive opacity, but I think for these hairs we need it kind of the opposite of that. Let's get that key shape down. How was I doing it before? Yeah, I was just kind of having it floof. There's kind of like an invisible wind thing kind of going on here, I realised, but I think that kind of works. When you're doing like fantasy stuff, it doesn't always have to 100%, especially if you're going for like semi-realism, you don't need to have everything 100% adhere to actual physics. Hello and welcome back to me drawing the same line 1,000 times because it doesn't look quite right. There you go, and then we can kind of work some harsher blacks in. And once again, I think the final pass for this will be us going in and painting like directly on top of the line art. So we can, if anything gets too bitty for want of a better term, like I've put too much detail into a section or it's a bit too sketchy, I can then just take a nice flat colour and just kind of homogenize up sections, because art isn't just about intricate detail all the time, it's about knowing I guess where to put that detail and where not to. Okay, I think that's good for now. And then we're going to go back into the main kind of layer and start slapping down some darker bits. Like here, you know, like along the face. Oh, probably good if we went back into pressure sensitive mode. That would probably do it, right? Yeah, that's getting nice and angsty. I like it. I really like, it's a shame because we might end up painting over these, but I really like these veins I added to him. But, you know, we can always draw it again. That's the beauty of it, right? I do think, now that I've sketched the outlines of this, we should probably add a little bit more definition to his kind of spidery centipede things that he's kind of got going on. And once again, you can see I'm actually keeping quite, I say this like I'm not like a phenomenal artist. There is much better ones out there that could probably offer better advice, but this is one where I'm trying to not be too precious with it. I'm just putting a few bits of extra detail in areas I like. you know, no shame in it being a little sketchy. I think the sketchiness kind of works for it. But some of the areas definitely needed a little bit more definition, a bit more cohesiveness. You can see I'm just kind of tidying up a few sections. Yeah, looking a little bit more cohesive, especially because he was drawn with line art. Now that I got these silhouetted, it's good to actually get these lined. And something I would really recommend to people is keeping like your previous sketch layers, if anything, because sometimes you're like, it's lost a shape I'm after, so it's good to don't get too hung up on it, but go back and like double check. You can see the lighting, the dramatic lighting will come back. It's just that I had to tidy things up a little, and then we'll add some more dramatic lighting. But also, like, to remind yourself, hey, look, it actually does look better. You're okay, and we all need that reassurance. I am not immune from that. I 100% do. Dynamo says, can you talk about this guy? What's his deal? Ah, okay, so if you missed it earlier, he's not my guy. This is the Obsidian King, and he was the villain in Fantasy Forge's phenomenally good stream last night, or night for me, maybe not night for everyone. Where he very expertly DM'd the audience. So the audience, there was like you could put your name forward, and then he would spin a spinner, and if your name came up, you would pilot one of these like heroes. And we were trying to save Tobias, and as a joke during that stream, I started drawing a hot version of the villain, the Obsidian King, and it kind of snowballed from there. So I thought I'd kind of, you know, pay tribute to a YouTuber and internet buddy that I really enjoy the work of. As far as I'm aware, he's not watching the stream right now, which is good. This will be a bit of a surprise. He's seen the original like sketch during the stream, but I'm now doing a very polished version of it for him. So that is his deal, and unfortunately the sadder deal is he is now dead, at least for that fight. And I did help kill him, but he didn't. This is the hot version of him. Maybe this is like his, actually like his hotter younger brother or something. But yes, I did yassify a internet friend's D&D villain, which now I say it out loud is insane. Oh, I see. I've actually worked the neck a little too far in. I feel. If you see me flipping the canvas a bunch, it's purely because I'm trying to get like a new perspective on this thing. And also I'm trying to remember what my old sketch looked like, because if I'm, like I said, if I'm losing some of those shapes, I can always remind myself. We'll clear off the penned in shadow I did there. I feel like we can just block that in ourselves in a little bit. Yeah, and he also had like a rounder face. Maybe that's what's kind of missing here. So we'll kind of, I'm sketching that out. Maybe it just doesn't work with the new facial proportions I've given him. Ooh, that's actually working. I quite like that. Hey, now we're cooking with fire. Yeah, I think maybe I made his face too long. Ah, but then he's got more of a spider vibe with the long face. Tell you what, we're zooming all the way out, and we're just going to hit the down arrow key until the face looks passable. And we're going to flip the canvas a few times because I'm indecisive and I have a very hard leaning eye bias. There we go. Nice. Okay, he's looking good. I'm gonna start slapping down some colours as well. Well, a bit of shading. He's all in black and white, but we'll probably... I might add a bit of colour later, but he was pretty black and white in the artwork I'm basing it off of, which is over on Fantasy Forge's Discord, if you want to check that out, and I would recommend it. Once again, we're trying to go a little stylized because otherwise I'll be here forever. So if the lighting doesn't 100% make sense, we are just making sure it passes this across the room test. And also he's like a centipede man, maybe he's got like some extra collarbones and stuff. You know, maybe I should go look crazy with the anatomy. I was also thinking around I might start trying to base it a little bit more off of the original artwork. I'm going on to his Discord as we speak, because what I quite badly need to find is this very chaotic screenshot, which I think is the closest we're going to get without me going directly. No, I could just do that. Hey, there are no rules. Let me refresh this, and we're going to type in Fantasy Forge. I'm going to go back onto the live stream. Oh, it's not there anymore. Huh. Well then, maybe he's editing it or something. That's okay. I will just use this silly screenshot then. This is the closest we're going to get to working out what the Obsidian King looks like. But we can do it. We can do it if we believe in ourselves. I remember a few more details about what he looked like. Like, he had these very black hands, and there was like spines, and he was very edgy looking. He's like a centipede. Okay, yeah, I mean, I've got all the hallmarks. That is what's going on here. Go. This is nice. It's fun just to draw a character for fun and to show appreciation to an internet buddy. You know, it's nice. And once again, I can kind of get away with a certain degree of like stylization on the body because he's not technically human. But like, you know, with the hands here, let's creep them up a little bit. Get a little bit of that going. Maybe lengthen them. See what I mean? Just kind of... We're just letting it pass the across the room test. This is implied to be these hands in that kind of pose, and so when someone glimpses it, they're not really gonna... hopefully not scrutinize it too hard. Please don't, because I'll get upset. And no, that little finger does not work. Let's undo that. Oh, it doesn't go back far enough. That's fine. What we'll do instead is redo everything. And then redo that pinky again. And what we can actually do is just retrace it from my original sketch layer. Once again, keep your sketch layers. Yeah, that is better. One thing I am going to try and do is that I realise that, because this is meant to imply that it's kind of coming across his lower torso, but I'm now realising that it kind of maybe just looks like that's the shape of his hips with like this weird sticky out bit, so I might like try thinning these bits out and then like adding some like, I'm not very good at describing it, but like a gradient of plating to imply that transition is taking place. Like maybe add some plating here, you know? Same like here where I did these like speckles. I think those are more of a reminder for future me to do these like little speckly bits, so let me just realised these hairs down here, so before I forget, there we go. So think as well, before I forget, because it will help me with my lighting, I'm gonna kind of increase that background contrast. There we go. This feels good. This feels like we're kind of starting to put the pieces together. I think as well, we are going to start kind of flat colouring these sections, because we can always add the detail back in, but I feel like it's all getting a little too cluttered. Like this transition here around the belly we could redo for sure. I did not spend a lot of time on it. And any little bits that still peek through will just be a little bit of nice texture. So it's kind of a win-win for me, personally. It also means that when I'm fixing the anatomy, I maybe don't need to turn off as much of the stuff to see what I'm doing, which doesn't hurt. Oh, I accidentally did a little something. You know when you're trying to work out what layer something's on? Hi Schnauzer Wizard, how's it going? Good to see you. I am just tidying up a kind of fan sketch I did for Fantasy Forge during his stream yesterday. I thought it would be kind of cute to do. And I'm just kind of playing around with shapes mostly and rambling away as I'm wont to do. And we're just kind of, you know, experimenting and seeing what works. Definitely improved it from the sketch. Obviously we've tidied up these sections so we can work those details back in a little better. So obviously some of that is going to come back, but I feel like he just feels a little more cohesive, you know? He definitely feels it to me. Let's make that 6. There we go, that's a little cleaner, more what I was after. I was very tempted because I liked how this hand turned out more to maybe copy paste them across, but I think there's something to be said for having the hands not be fully symmetrical, because they wouldn't be, and they'd be at different angles and all of that jazz. All that good stuff. And this one's a little further away as well, so it would look a little smaller. I do think, however, I'm going to get rid of that. It's doing the thing again. That's really annoying. I'm I'm gonna get rid of the highlight, not forever, but just to give me a chance to play around with stuff without worrying too much about the, you know, that kind of highlight thing. Denisovan says, I just got here. Who's the rakish gentleman with centipede legs? Ah, yes, so yeah, this is fan art for my bud Fantasy Forge, who did a very cool stream yesterday. I couldn't seem to find it. I'm wondering if he's maybe removed it or he's editing it, in the process of editing it. But I jokingly drew a hot version of his villain, and I thought it'd be kind of, and he's seen that, but I thought it'd be kind of fun to clean it up a little bit. So if it looks like I'm taking away details, like I just painted over the veins and all of that, it's because we're tidying up this base sketch, so I won't forget those details. They are coming back. It's just you know, we're cleaning things up so that it's easier to add those details again later. You know what I mean? I hope you know what I mean, otherwise I sound crazy. So I can add like a little bit of this. Maybe a little bit of that, and then reduce the opacity. I think if I'm going quite blocky on the head and stuff, maybe I should shade a little more blocky here. Let's get the whole, so let's get that whole arm done with the new colours, new cleaned up colours, and then we'll have a think. Also a good chance to see if I've, yeah, you can see there's like some little, there's some little bits I missed. Let's un-alpha lock it and add, you can see where I've maybe not quite coloured it 100%. And well, once again, we're trying to keep it sketchy. I think there is something to be said for like if the colouring job is then affecting the silhouette or shape of your character. I think that's a pretty good reason to go back in. Looking at some of these tones, but trying not to emulate too much, because then it might be like a game of telephone where I'm trying to emulate my own drawing instead of trying to emulate the character. Ooh, my Photoshop went very laggy for a sec there. Did you guys see that? I've mostly taken away any of the white highlights so that I need somewhere to go with it, you know, like if I do white highlights, then that's it, that's as bright as you can go, right? So I'm trying to, except for the areas where I've confidently put down like the new white, I'm trying not to put too much down. I think also in terms of like fixing this, I might remove these just for a minute at the very least. This also doesn't feel like a good shape, so we're just kind of restructuring the torso a little bit. Bonky's in here. Hi Bonky, how are you? I hope you're well, my sweetheart. Always good to hear from you. We need to make sure that we're in the same call again sometime. Doing this on a new layer so I can reduce the opacity when I'm done. I went too far to the side. Ah. There we go, something like that. And I'm just trying, because the problem is I was trying to find Fantasy Forge's stream so I could look at the original image, because I wanted to see how far the black came up the torso. Because I was kind of toying around with, was instead of this, we kind of, let me do it on a new layer, we kind of, and please do tell me what you think, because I'm not 100% sure on this. I kind of like, oh, I made it way too big. I don't know, do something where the scales kind of... You kind of see what I mean? Like they kind of come up. I don't know if that would be better or worse. Just popped in to see the vibes. Doing well. I'm glad to hear it, Bonky. Now that I'm looking at this, I feel like, actually, no, it is better with the shirt, but I do think there should be that cool, like, transition thing. Yeah. I mean, this is why we play around with stuff, right? We see what works. We see what works and what doesn't work. It's weird, like, you spend... Sometimes I'll, like, draw a torso and it will turn out 100% perfect the first time. And then other times I'll be trying it and it's like, hey, am I human? Have I ever seen what a human looks like before? And I'll just fully forget how anatomy works. I think I can get away with it a little bit more with this guy, because obviously he's a spider-looking dude, but I still seem to really struggle with certain parts of anatomy. Male chests in particular are very hit and miss for me. Sometimes I like really nail it, and then other times it's hard. Yeah, like that doesn't look correct. I mean, I guess he doesn't need to have these. He's a spider person after all, but it just... The original had them, you know? I don't think I placed them well on the original. I think we'll just leave them off for now. Just chugging a drink, trying my best not to do it directly into the microphone. And I'm also just filling in these gaps at the back here for this leggy. Actually no, let's do that after because I haven't tidied that one yet. I'm happier with this arm shape now, so I think we will now tidy up this. Though thinking of Baldur's Gate 3, I've been playing a ton of that recently and having such a good time. And it just reminded me how good Larian's games are in general, and I've already sunk so much time into Baldur's Gate 3, and their previous game used to be, or still is, one of my favourite RPGs ever made, which is, you're probably sick of hearing me mention it, Divinity Original Sin 2. And I'm like, oh no, I'm getting the itch to play Divinity Original Sin 2 again. It's like, that's another 60 hours of my life gone. It's such a good game. So yeah, it's the struggle is real. I don't like the shape of this, thinking of the struggle being real. There we go. That's a little nicer. That's, well, it's still gross, but it's like the kind of good gross I want to see in the design, if that makes sense. You get me. I've been wondering what first inspired your Golden Bone project. I mean, there is no one thing. It's just, I mean, I've answered some of these, like the kinds of questions, like where I draw inspiration from and stuff in those Q&As. So if you, obviously if you want more like detailed specifics, that's probably the place to go. But generally speaking, no one thing inspired it. Lots of different things. I just like the genre of flintlock fantasy and fantasy in general. You know, there was no like eureka moment where I was suddenly like, that's the entire thing. You just kind of chip away at ideas. I think sometimes you get like a eureka thing, like, and stuff can just snowball. It's definitely happened to me, just not with Golden Bone. That was just kind of a gradual over time thing. And yeah, if you want to know like specific games and books and stuff that have inspired it, I have a whole section of the Q&A videos about that, which will probably be able to answer a lot more coherently than I can right now, because I'm kind of half concentrating and you know, kind of half rambling and stuff. There is like, there's a few bits and pieces I've been trying to work on, not just for me, like hopefully to share with you guys that I think my Patreon lot will probably get the first look at, but there's one that I'm probably not anytime soon, just because I have so many different things I want to work on and only so much time to work on them all, and I'm determined to work on them all, probably to my detriment, but I've got a not like a webcomic, because comics are like they're their own skill set. Anyone who's like, oh my gosh, you should turn Golden Bone into a webcomic, it's like, I'm not a comic artist. But I have been working on like a illustrated story where I would maybe like post the chapters online, that I'm very excited about. That's kind of on my mind. I think that's why I bring it up, just because I've been working on it a bit recently. Which is, it's good for me because it's a real departure from some of the grittier fantasy stuff I do enjoy. Like, I love me like some good gritty fantasy, but it's nice to do something that's maybe a bit more wholesome, especially like sometimes you're just not in the right headspace for something, or you're like, this thing is actually making me upset, it's not good for me at the minute. Luckily I don't have that too often, but it's good to have different kinds of projects, I feel. So it's nice to have something more wholesome in the works. Just tidying these bits up. The chest area seems a bit long for the torso. Maybe that's what makes the nipples strange. Yeah, maybe. I mean, like, once again, he is, they're not too long if you take into account, once again, I need to kind of tweak this a little. This is actually still the torso. He's actually got quite a thick torso. But I might just leave them off, you know, like he doesn't need to obey the anatomy of like a regular person, I suppose. So I might just leave it for now. I can always add it during some colouring steps later.
If you like illustration-only stories, you should check out Matt Rhodes. He makes a visual story set about the biblical flood with dinosaurs.
I think I might have seen his stuff. Let me double check. I have seen this guy's stuff, yeah. Yeah, so I was thinking of just like doing like, I don't know, like it's got a nice chapter cover and then maybe some little illustrations sprinkled throughout. Something cute like that, I was thinking. And I think because it would be cute to kind of start teasing it now. The general, it's set in a place near where I am, but like a very fantasy Ghiblified version, Studio Ghiblified version of it. You know, it's kind of got that historical fantasy thing. It's set in Wyndham, which is a place near me. And a very beautiful spot. And it's about two witches who, through happenstance, end up having to co-parent a baby demon, which I thought would be a very, very cute story. And there's some half-decent kind of reasoning and explanations within the story of why they have to go about doing it. Yeah, just something silly and fun. Someone says, just joined, how's the art going? Art's going good. Art is going good. I hope the Fantasy Forge likes the updated version of this. The legs are gonna be what kills me. Oh my days. Then we're going to unharden the brush. Take this. Try and get the scales to start looking like they have different sections, you know? I will go into more detail down there in a bit, but I need to, you know, get these, I don't know, vaguely laid out the way we want them. I was smart enough to put the legs on a separate layer, so I can take this away. And once again, for context of anyone who's joined recently, we're tidying up a sketch I did yesterday, which is already looking much cooler, in my opinion, anyway. I'm just gonna try experimenting real quick with taking some of this hair away. I actually quite like that. That feels kind of cool, because I can always stick it back in, right? But it feels... How luscious do I want this hair to be? No, I think taking a bit out might add a little something. Yeah, we're gonna leave that out. To answer your question, Pip, I will not bore the audience because I've kind of done the rundown about 6 or 7 times now, but TLDR, it's art of a friend, Fantasy Forge, his character from his stream yesterday. I would definitely go subscribe. Dennis says, one of the only art things I was any good at was reproducing a picture of a wasp in high school. Insects are buggers to draw. Yes, they are, and I don't draw them a lot. Which, you know, makes sense. There's not usually a ton of recourse to draw them in detail unless, you know, it's what your project is based around. But that's kind of what's fun also about D&D and fantasy, or like the world building project, you know, Golden Bone, is that loads of that sort of stuff gives you a chance to... I am duplicating this in case I fuck it up. It gives you a chance, right? I'm going to take the legs away just for a bit so I can kind of see what I'm doing a little better. Especially because those legs are literally just placeholders. You can see they're very, very faintly sketched in. And we're trying not to be too precious with this stuff. If it looks good from a distance, we're calling it good enough. I keep saying that out loud to convince myself. I was wondering if to have like to more smoothly transition the kind of humanoid torso, if to have like kind of a... Oh, I've forgotten the name of it. It's not the... It's in the groin, but there's a name for there's like the tendons there, and I've forgotten what it is. Like they call it like an Adonis belt or something like that. Like some men in particular have very pronounced ones, and I forgot what they're called. Whoever is watching, please do not tell my my life drawing teacher from back when I was at uni, because they'd be very disappointed in me that I've forgotten. Nah, it doesn't feel like it works. That's okay. We tried it. We're just trying out ideas, you know? What is going to be fun is shading this. I am actually I really like shading. I don't know if any of you, if you guys haven't yet, I actually did do a collab video with Fantasy Forge. And in it, I design a D&D boss called the Parlor Maiden. And that was a lot of fun to shade the like little shiny tubing for. So that's like a big thing for me. Is I really like doing like those tube shapes are just so easy once you know how to do them. Like, not maybe, I don't maybe necessarily do them well, but I do them passably, and I have fun doing it, which are like the two main things, right? The other reason I like to occasionally just switch this on is the same reason I'm kind of doing it with this Asimar monk character, the one I mentioned before that we might have done instead, my next D&D character. Because things do look fundamentally different when you shade them. They look often better than you realize they're going to. So sometimes I'll slam down some like theoretical colors and just kind of have them there just so that if I start bottling it, I can kind of remind myself that the color and shading is gonna add to that. So just something to keep in mind.
Just checking the chat. I like how you use airbrushes. Oh,
thank you. Yeah, I go back and forth between using airbrushes and then using like harder surface stuff. I think there's obviously depending on the style you're going for, there's a nice combo to be had there, but I have a soft spot for like visible shading where you can kind of see that they've oh, I can't do words today. What's wrong with me? Well, you can see that the marks being made. I'm always a big fan of that. It's why I really like old school video games where they did like the hand painted textures, you know, like World of Warcraft and stuff like that. See, that's why it wasn't lining up. There we go. I'm trying to get the plating to come up a little bit above each one. At least for the first few. I think we can kind of ignore it after a certain point. I think it's kind of negligible. But yeah.
Yes, it's called the Adonis spell. Just call them hip bones. Yeah. Apparently it isn't bones, but is in fact a V-shaped muscle.
Yeah, like a tendons, I think I said, but yeah, muscle, whatever you want to... I think it is muscle, you're right. Yeah, it's just some people, even when they're maybe a little bit more overweight, still quite naturally have that section there, particularly men. I have seen some, you know, women with that, but they tend to have different stuff going on. I kind of, before I do the rest of this and we commit to it, I'm just test running how this looks. I think I'm going to give up on the more like sticking out over one another slightly because I don't want to ruin those nice shapes, that silhouette we had going. And I think the top few imply it just fine. So we're just doing very simple ones from now on. I'm just testing some things out. Don't know if I'll stick with it. Yeah, I think on the first few might work. I'm doing a little canvas flip here, let's see. Because then I can, maybe the hip is coming out a little too far here. Once again, I can undo this. It's not the end of the world if we don't like it. And this stream is as much about you guys seeing me mess things up as it is anything else. Sometimes when I need to save time on a speed draw, or the opposite, like this, like the speed draw is, even at like 1000% speed, too long. I will cut out when I do stuff like this. I try and leave it in as much as I can, but occasionally, you know, you might see like a small cut or something like that, and it's purely because there just isn't enough time in the video and I have nothing else to say. I have identified though that hip is coming out maybe a bit too much. It doesn't look as bad with the shading in, but I think maybe we just, there we go. Just kind of temper it down a little. That'll do. And then so we're just using this upper section as like a test, and then if we like it, we will apply that, God help me, to the rest of it. Oh no, I think it looks good. Yeah, we're gonna do that for the rest of it now, aren't we? Oh no. I do like it, that's the problem. Nope. It's still on like the 2. There we go. Let's bring you back in. Sometimes I invert it just to help me tidy things up. Let's put on like a 5. You see what I mean? Just kind of have a little tidy up. Okay. Looking alright to me. Oh, there's actually... There we go. And once again, those nice scale patterns we probably will bring back in. Same with the veins that were on the wrists. I think all of that I will be adding back in. I just want to tidy things up a little first. Oh my days. Let me have a little sip of my drink and read the chat. Me too, it's why I'm obsessed with Arcane's art style. Yeah, Arcane's definitely popularised it quite a bit. Back in my day, people were calling it the long dark art style, which was also incorrect because obviously video games like World of Warcraft had done a lot of that hand painted thing first, but lots of the long dark was really pretty mind-blowing at the time in terms of like, you know, the how you could visually see the characters' faces and stuff were hand painted. Like they were, if you like the Arcane art style, even if you don't play the game, if you check out like the cutscenes for the long dark, it's once again that thing of characters that look like paintings but they're moving in a 3D space. It's why I'm always like, I mean, Arcane has its own art style for sure, but it's that classic thing again of when any time a 3D animated thing did something unconventional and people called it the Spider-Verse style. Even if it looked nothing like Into the Spider-Verse, they were like, oh, they're doing something unconventional with 3D. It's Into the Spider-Verse. And it's the same way now that I'm seeing people... Someone called the Long Dark at my work the other day Arcane style, and I was like, no, it's just hand painted. Arcane has its own specific style. Yeah, it's an interesting one for sure. I think it's natural that people, and yeah, I'm the same. I'm completely obsessed with Arcane's art style, but when some people are like, oh yeah, and these older video games copied it, I'm like, no, they didn't. Please no. Your style has helped me figure out a good visible shading balance, so thanks. Oh, thank you. I mean, like, I don't always nail it. If fact, frequently I don't, as you've been seeing me kind of mess up on this stream so far, but, you know, I try my best. And sometimes I succeed. There's, I've been really enjoying doing more blocky stylized shading at the minute. Which, thinking of Arcane, I know they, which is kind of what I'm basing mine off of, use Asaro heads. And if you're not familiar with Asaro heads, I mentioned them on my last stream. They're a very common study that a lot of people do in sculpture and or, sorry, I'm just oh my god, that was my shoulder. If you heard that click, that was my shoulder. I'm just doing some wrist stretches because my wrists are a little sore, so we're just taking a break. Sorry heads, anyone in the chat who is wanting to improve how they draw or shade faces and has and can either draw it or sculpt it, do an Asaro head study for sure. They're really, really good. They've helped me so much. I did some sculpts once upon a time. And I know that it's not just The Long Dark, there's another one, and Arcane, it's not just Arcane, there's another one, and I've forgotten the name of it, and it's gonna bug me. I'm gonna wake up in a cold sweat tonight. There's a few games and TV shows that use the Asaro head as their shading reference, which makes perfect sense. It's the planes of the face. And it also makes sense because you can just go into your game studio or your animation studio and say, hey guys, we're going to use the Asaro head as our reference, and most artists in there will go, oh, neat, okay, I know what that is. So it makes sense, but I've been trying to use the Asaro head a bit more when I'm shading. Disco Elysium also, yes, Disco Elysium also has some great hand-painted stuff. I use Asaro heads all the time, amazing. My collarbone cracks like a gunshot, it's fine. Yeah, I have a very clicky joints, which I know is like, because clicky joints have like fluid build-up mostly, right? From what I've heard, I could be wrong. Obviously, like a lot of people, my job is pretty sedentary, so I think that plays a role. But also, I think when you have like a lot of autoimmune stuff, that can also just, yeah, unfortunately, you might hear a lot of cracking without me meaning to, so I do apologise. You mentioned you like some gritty worlds. Do you like Warhammer 40k? If so, what's your fave chapter? I'm gonna be honest, the only 40k that I play regularly is Age of Sigmar, and specifically, I specifically play Underworlds. That's like the main thing, and in that I really like the Sepulchral Guard. Those are my boys. But I do have friends who also regularly, we play D&D together, but they also regularly absolutely love and play a ton of the other, like the, you know, like 40k and other Warhammer stuff. So I know a lot about the lore. When you say chapters, I'm assuming you mean specifically the Space Marines, not like the other armies, because I'm a big fan of the Orcs. I think they're great, and the Skaven. But if you mean like chapters within the Space Marines, I guess I've got a little bit of a soft spot for the Salamanders. I have no clue how they'd play, but lore-wise, I'm a big fan of the Salamanders. I like them a lot. But the Space Marines never really appealed to me in terms of the lore compared to some of the other ones. You know, when you got like Trazeen just like floating around somewhere, I think that's all a lot more interesting. Space Marine chapters are like spices. For example, the Ultramarines are flower. A friend of mine his favorite is the Ultramarines. Yeah, and I get it. The Ultramarines are fun. Sorry about the break, gang. I'm trying to be a boring grown-up and take better care of my well-being. I'm trying to do some more wrist stretches and stuff like that, and I'm also switching up my grip a little bit. So trying like different pen grips just to try and kind of keep that going. I, in my heart of hearts, like emotionally cannot deal with doing the rest of this today. I think that's like a lot of Centipede. That's a lot of Centipede to be getting on with. I think I'm gonna not do that. I will, however, make like some tweaks to the upper torso area for now, and then I'll probably maybe I'll come back to it tomorrow even, and we can do something. But right now, I can't. I'm not strong enough. Like Mr. Incredible in that scene, it's like I'm not strong enough. Kind of softening some bits up, you know, just if we're not going to be doing any more of the Centipede board, let's at least really make this dazzle. And kind of accentuate this weird thing I've tried to do here with like multiple. There's weird clicking going on this track and I'm not jamming with it. Oh, that's fascinating. The most replayed part of this radio I have is after that track. Yeah, no one likes the clicking. Yeah, I'm just gonna try and you know, really accentuate a few of these sections just to see. Don't worry, this is on a separate layer, so I can always reduce that opacity a little bit if need be. See what I mean? And then maybe get a little bit of a soft brush going to kind of beautiful. It just adds a little something, it adds a little depth. I think what I'll also do is I'll make the highlight on a separate layer, and then if I ever need to readjust things again, I don't need to, you know, completely redo everything. I think I might even, this might be our first on top of the line art proper thing where I'm gonna be putting that highlight. Oh, that's why. Oh, I'm stupid. It's because I have my eraser selected. What am I like? What am I like? How thin? Oh, I did it thin. Oh no, past be set a precedent. Yeah, something like that. I do feel like maybe this section will be better served on top of the line art so that it looks a little neater. But I think I'm just gonna see. Maybe a little there, and then a little here. See what I mean? I'm just seeing how it looks. Beautiful. You know what? It's fun drawing like weirdly, like I'm going for that classic thing of like, oh, it's the rakish monstrous dude. It's like I feel like I can fix him, you know. By the way, that is purely in a fun fictional setting. Do not be with someone because you think you can fix them. You're gonna be unhappy. I think we'll have to do those leggies separately because they need a bit of like gradient in there, I feel. Just help them pop a little. Alpha lock. The only reason I'm humming and hawing about the shine, and I just wanted to do a quick test one, is because I feel like the matte look might better accentuate how dark his hands are. You know, like they're meant to be like pitch black.
Someone said salamanders are awesome boyos. I need to read up on their lore though because
Yeah, I think their lore is really interesting. I like their lore. So to give you an idea of what I probably won't do it now, or I might keep this layer if I like it, but what I'm gonna probably do then after I've got everything else sorted, like I've done all of these other leggies and all of that jazz, is then probably make a new layer like I've done here and do my favorite thing, which is then like a direct paint on top of the thing. So you can really start to, like, for clarity's sake, clear up some of these sections a little bit. And you can always reduce the opacity ever so slightly afterwards so some of that texture still peeks through. But it does just let you kind of clear things. You see what I mean? So you can kind of do something like that. And some eyebrows, there you go. I'm definitely keeping this layer because it's turning out great. You see what I mean? So, you know, draw on top of your line art. It's been a while since I've dropped that propaganda, but here we are. Maybe even a little bit here. You see what I mean? And it just adds something, I feel. You can start adding like fun details or experimenting with stuff. I'm just going to call this overlay. So you can also do stuff like, I don't know, let me use this example. You could like experiment with him having teeth. Doesn't matter if it doesn't work out because it's all just on its own layer. You know what I mean? And if it doesn't work, not the end of the world. Or, you know, something silly and goofy like that could be kind of fun. Yeah, I feel like the overlay can really help you. You know what I mean? Like, they look different, but I feel like one has better cohesion up close. And then if you miss some of that texture, because some of that texture is nice, you can always just ever so slightly reduce it. And then you've got the best of both worlds. And don't forget to zoom out on occasion just to make sure it's not. I prefer it with that little shadow bit. There you go. And then we have this really nice clean line work. That's how I do it anyway. It's not the... Once again, my caveat with all of this, it's not the only way of doing it. However... Oh! We have a kitty cat. Kitty cat alert. Hello? What are you doing? Hey? Maybe something like that, and then we can just reduce the opacity on that. In fact, let's completely get rid of it in that sphere. Because then we can do a little one of these, maybe. You kind of see what I'm going for. Oh, it's there. I was trying to work out where that kind of weird overlap was coming from, and it's coming from this hair, so we might have to redo that hair strand. That's okay. Yeah, I much prefer that. I think that looks better than the drawn-on version. And then on the hair layer, we are going to restore his beautiful locks. There we go. Hopefully you get something out of this, even if it's just, you know, knowing what not to do. But you know, I've always learnt my best by seeing others kind of succeed and fail and try stuff out, so I hope some of you guys get that out of this. He's definitely looking very pretty. in the chat. I think I'm probably gonna call it there, only because I still got hurty wrists even though I did all the exercises, which to me says maybe that's kind of it today. It's a bit cold, so maybe my joints are just a little stiff. But I will try and come back to this tomorrow. Maybe we can have a go at my D&D character, or if I'm feeling up to it, maybe we can tackle the horrendous quantity of legs we're gonna have to deal with. And in fact, to make myself commit to it, I'm gonna kind of fuzz out a lot of these guys. You know what I mean? To remind me to do them. Don't worry, I've got a spare layer if I forget. But yeah, this has been really fun. Thank you for joining me. I always also like hearing what you guys are up to and all of that jazz, and you always ask some really fun questions. So yeah, we might even, because the art I'm basing it off of, I now realise has like a huge frilly bit, I might even like here where it's implied stuff's coming out the back, I might add some more stuff next time. Maybe get some, you know, this sort of thing going on, if you know what I mean. You know what I mean. Very peacocky. But yeah, we will see. We will see how we feel. But thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you all very, very soon. Before you go, how do you find hairstyles? Everywhere. Pinterest, everyday life, watching TV and shows, playing games. You just pick them up, I suppose. In terms of drawing them, that all comes down to practice, but for me, I tend to break them down into like ribbon formations and then add all the little fun hair stuff afterwards. Let me find something real quick. The hidden archives. This personal project I've been working on a bit recently, you can kind of see how I've broken the hairstyles down and reiterated them, and you can also now see why I'm drawing such angular faces. But yeah, that's kind of how I do mine. We should do like a stream just dedicated to hair sometime. I think that would be really fun. Thank you so much for the stream, says Dynamite, and for the art advice. Yeah, no problem. You know, my advice, like anyone else's advice, is not fallible, so take what you want, and you're welcome to disregard any other advice I give, but, you know, you're welcome to try it out. And yeah, just all take care of yourselves and stay toasty and stay warm, and, well, I'm saying that because it's cold here, but we'll stay cool if you're somewhere hot. Right, okay. I'll talk to you soon.